Okay, it says we're live. All right, we're going. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining on today's webinar, Your 2020 Internet Marketing Plan. Excited to have you here. We've got a good group of people jumping on. This is awesome. Let's see, we've got, let's see who's on here. Kathy, hi. Peggy, hello. Susan, I saw Susan just registered a couple minutes ago. So, okay, oh, there's more coming in. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and go on with it. So thank you everybody for jumping on. My name is Will Hankey, and today we're going to discover a lot of stuff. We're going to go through a lot of things. First of all, we're going to set your goals for 2020. We're going to talk about how many leads, kind of do some number crunching a little bit to see what you need to hit your goal. We're going to talk about optimizing your website for conversion in 2020, and of course beyond that, but it all starts with looking at your site and optimizing certain things. We're going to talk about the big picture of online marketing, what you should be doing in the coming year, what trends are popular, what things you need to be doing that you can focus on in the coming year. And we're going to build a plan. We're going to build a plan that gets you the best amount of leads coming to your site, and talk about some of the latest internet marketing tools. So please pay attention, close all your other windows, mute the cell phone, don't look at cats on Facebook. I know those are fun, but try not to do that the best you can. So if you're serious about your 2020, really building your business incredibly, then 2020 is the year to do it, and we're gonna set you up for success right from the start. So these next 60 minutes or so could really change your life. If you stay to the end, I've updated my digital marketing success checklist. So I've added some new stuff to it. So if you stay to the end, I'll tell you how to get a hold of this, and going through this step by step and making sure that these things are in order are really going to help you grow your business. So real quick, who am I? Well, my name is Will Hankey. I've had 23 years in the digital marketing space. I've been building websites since actually before Google really was a thing. Lots of years speaking, teaching on all kinds of different digital marketing related topics. I'm obsessed with SEO, teaching, and I'm also into home automation for what it's worth. I like telling my systems to turn lights on, lights off, Christmas lights, all that kind of stuff. I am a father of 4 and peepaw to 2. I'm also a U.S. veteran. And a little bit about Red Canoe real quick. We're veteran owned, we're family owned. My daughter works for me. She's doing all kinds of web development, project management, all kinds of fantastic things. We've got hundreds of clients across the U.S. We specialize in web design, web hosting, and really the marketing piece and lead generation for businesses that really need to generate more leads. That's really kind of our sweet spot. We are Google partners and have been for many years, which is something that you actually have to take tests for and go through their system. And it's not like something you can just grab a picture and stick it on your site. You actually have to be part of their partner program. So, all right, let's talk about your 2020 internet marketing plan. So the first thing you need to do is grab the workbook if you haven't already. That's at redcanoemedia.com/workbook. And I'm going to paste this into the chat on Zoom real quick if I can remember how to do it. More chat. There we go. Oh, that's not it. redcanoemedia.com/workbook. All right, I'll plug that in there for you, and that should get you to the actual workbook on Google Docs. And then what you can do is you can actually just go to File, make a copy, save your own copy that you can actually edit right here as we're going through this today. So that is a critical piece of this as well. So let me know if you can't get that. I'm going to see if I can't post that in Facebook as well. No, it doesn't look like it's going to come up on there. So, all right, Amber's on it. She's got it. All right, thank you, Amber. Okay, so make sure you grab the workbook because that's what we're going to go through today. So first, let's talk about marketing. What is the hardest part about marketing your business online? So what I'd like you to do is actually jump over to the chat and tell me what's going on in your head that really is the hardest part and something that you've struggled with over the last year, 5 years, anything. Peggy says just doing it. Yeah, just getting in there and doing it. That's tough. And sometimes you're busy, obviously, running your business. That makes it difficult to actually take time to work on the business. Always a difficult thing to pull off. And so, I'm going to wait a minute here and see what anybody else says. What is the hardest thing about really kind of getting going on this? I'll wait for you. Go ahead and plug your answers in there. John says collecting emails, tough. Yeah. Building those systems and getting those pieces in place can be kind of tough to do as well. And there's money in the list, they always say, right? But having those emails and interacting with past customers, especially, or people that are just raising their hand and want to know more, not easy to do. Not an easy thing to get started. It's very overwhelming. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna press on here. So let's talk about your goals. One of the big things that you need to do, obviously, is set some goals in the coming year. Set clear goals in the coming year, not just generic. I want to make more money than I did this year, right? Now, without a goal, you're kind of like a sailboat that's just kind of floating around. Looks beautiful, looks very nice, but you're not getting anywhere, right? If you're not interested in growing your business, then this is where you're at, and you're just going to be stuck there, and that's not any fun. So having those goals really kind of is like having wind in your sails, right? It gives you a mission, it gives you a place to go, a destination. It also gives you kind of a mental rush to, hey, I've got these things that we're hoping to do this year, and we really kind of need to get going. So having clear goals is a great way to document what we're hoping to do over the coming year. So let's talk about this Harvard study that happened in 1979. So they interviewed all of the graduates from the Harvard class. 84% of them really had no specific goals about what they wanted to do, and these are Harvard grads. 13% had their goals but didn't have them written down, and 3% had clear written goals and plans to accomplish them. So I think you probably know where this is going, right? But let's see what the results were. The 13% of the class that had goals were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who didn't have any goals at all. Twice as much, fantastic, simply by having goals in mind. But even more staggering, the 3% that had written down their goals, clear goals on what they're doing, on average, were making 10 times as much as the other 97% put together, which is just incredible. So having those goals in place, having a direction, having something clear in mind about where you're going to be is very much a part of building your framework for success in the coming year. So obviously you have to have written goals and plans, and you need to set really a yearly goal, quarterly goal, monthly goals, and you have to have a stopping point, which is really important to make sure that you have a point where you can stop, reflect, compare, adjust, those kind of things. Amber and I, we actually have daily goals. So every day we share, what is your win the day goal? What is the thing that you're going to do today to consider that you won the day? So we share that with each other every morning. And then we have a win the week, win the month, so we have things kind of in our minds about things that we're wanting to do and hit and points that we want to get to, which really helps. But also having a written down quarterly and yearly goal And that could just be a revenue number. It could be, you know, so many leads. It could be that you want to publish a book. It could be that you want to help 20 more businesses. You know, it could be whatever it is. But starting to define those goals can really help you grow. So we're going to talk some numbers. I want you to get your workbook ready, and we're going to talk about setting some goals for the coming year. So first of all, revenue target. We talked about that. We're coming up on the end of the year, so you're going to know how much you made this year, how much, you know, expenses were, revenue was, so that you can put a number together about what is your revenue target for next year. And then we're going to break it down. How much is that per month? So divide that number by 12. We'll do that in a minute here. What is your average transaction value? So how much money is the average person worth that comes, you know, or the average client or customer that comes to you? Break that down into how many leads, how many calls is that going to require? So let's look at the workbook. I'm gonna use an example here real quick. If your revenue target is $1.5 million, then that means you need to make $125,000 a month. You need to bring that number in. So basically, you just take the revenue target, divide by 12. That gives you your monthly number that you need to make. So then if you can see, okay, what is my average transaction value that comes in? Well, every client that comes through is worth about $400, right? So if I'm making her 405 in this example, if I'm bringing in 405, that means I need to have 308 purchases per month, right? So that's a big number. And basically you just take the monthly target, divide it by the average value. So take the 125,000, divide that by 405. That gives us the number of 308. So I need 308 purchases. Now, interestingly, this is not the number of leads. This is the number of purchases that you need to take place. So in order to get the leads, we have to work kind of backwards. And you didn't know you were getting into some math today, did you? But if your average conversion rate, or every time you get a lead, you close 20% of them, then that number is going to be pretty high of how many calls you need to have coming in, or how many calls you need to make, or how many people you need to be in touch with. If that number is higher, if you can close 55% of everybody that calls, you know, then that obviously you're going to have to talk to less people. So in my example, let's say I can close around just over half of the people that contact me. So 55%. So if I'm thinking, well, I need 308 purchases to hit my revenue target for the year, then that means I actually need 560 leads per month, because I'm only going to close 55% of them, right? So kind of working backwards and knowing what those numbers are is huge. So in the workbook, I'm going to pull up the workbook here. See if I can move that over. All right, you should be able to see the workbook here. And again, you should be able to go to File, make a copy, or save a copy. Actually save a copy for yourself. And then put in here, what is your 2020 revenue target? Divide that number by 12 to see, okay, so we need to be making X number per month. Out of that, what is your average transaction value? How much is each client worth each time that they show up? So this is not what we call your average customer lifetime value, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this is every purchase. What is the average purchase for you? Is it $100? Is it $1,000? You know, what is that number on average for every person that comes through? What is that person worth each time each time somebody comes through and makes a purchase from you? So then from there, you can take you can take your monthly target and divide that. So take the number that you need to make every month, divide that by your average transaction value, and that will give you how many purchases, just like I did in my example. That'll give you how many purchases you need each time, or each month, I should say. So from there, we'll do the same thing. Calculate your average, or how many leads you're going to need some of these numbers you might not be 100% sure on, but you probably have a pretty good idea of how many people call that you're able to close business on. Sometimes they call and they're not a great fit and you have to refer them to somebody else. Sometimes they're a good fit, but they don't have the money or they're just not ready to pull the trigger. So all those things need to be, kind of mixed into it. How many people call and you're able to close that business, let's say within a 30-day period. It depends on how long your sales cycle is, those sort of things. But for the most part, you should know what percentage can you close in a typical month, of time. So put that percentage in here, and then basically take your target, purchase target, and divide that or multiply it by point whatever of your percentage to get how many overall people you need to talk to in a month to hit your goal. And you can actually do this monthly and change these numbers each month and then set up a quarterly goal. So, okay, we're not doing real great right now, but we want to have a quarterly goal of making 20,000 a month. Then maybe the next quarter is 25 and the next quarter is 30 and the next quarter is 35. You don't necessarily have to go from making 10 grand a month to making 20 in 1 month. You're going to be upset that you didn't hit your goal, right? So it may be that you need to do some fancy math over time and really just break this up into quarters instead of yearlies. But starting to know what those numbers are, how many people I need to talk to, gives you a good foundation for the other stuff we're going to talk about. Okay, do I need to start getting on social media? Do I need to really build my email list like John said? What other things do I need to do to really start getting my name out there, to getting more customers? And then the last thing here, I mentioned this earlier, what is your average customer or average lifetime customer value? Average lifetime customer value. Or it could be ACLV, I think is the other way to do it. But anyway, when somebody comes to you, do they come back? Do they purchase 5 times on average over the course of doing business with you? Do they just purchase 1 time? Do they purchase 10 times? So finding out, looking at all your customers, how many of them purchased 3 times, how many of them purchased 5 times, and then starting to come up with an average. Maybe your average over time is that you make 3 grand per customer on average. So that's really nice to know, because then you can kind of work backwards and say, well, every time I sign somebody up, I know that in the longevity, I'm making an extra 3 grand or whatever that number is. And that's a great way to kind of start looking at your business and energize yourself when it comes to talking to leads individually. So, all right. So hopefully you've been working on those numbers a little bit. And if you have, put in the chat how many leads you think you need to start generating your goals in the coming year. Love to be able to help you out with that. So, all right. Let's talk about the fundamentals of business success here. There's really 3 pieces to success, and that is your message, or what you're saying about your business, the market, who you're saying it to, and then the media, how you're saying it, really are the 3 pieces. And we're going to break each one of these down individually. So let's start with the market, or who is your customer. And if you've been on any of my webinars at any point, you're probably familiar with me talking about this. It is critical to your success to really know who your customer is. And there's a lot of different people out there that could be doing business with you, but we want to talk about a specific type of customer that maybe it's a client you already have. If I could get more of this client, then we would be in fantastic shape. So defining that kind of person really helps you with your message, and it helps you with your outreach, and it helps with some other things, but you have to know who that person is, right? So again, in the workbook, I've got a ton of information. I'm going to go through some of it now, but you'll start to see in the workbook, there's some section on, we'll talk about in a second, but then there's a build your avatar section. I want to make sure that you start to think about who is the person that I want to do business with. And here's some tips for you. First of all, we talk about demographics. So are they homeowners? How old are they? Are they typically female or occasionally male? Are they almost always female? Are they almost always male? Are they married? So demographics around how this particular person, what their life looks like, I guess you could say. Are they reliable? They like to please people? Those kind of things can really start to work in your favor. If you know those things, then you can put together a plan to speak to them. We'll talk about that when we get to the message. Also important, pains and frustrations. So what thing is bothering them that you could solve for them? What is it that you can solve that is the problem they're having? What solution are you offering to them right now? Whether that's their widget isn't working, I can't get this thing done, I'm too busy to get it done, I need somebody to help me with it. I'm worried that not getting this fixed is going to ruin my house, or it's going to break my car, or it's going to keep me from succeeding. Lots of things. Is it that the kid's health is going to suffer? Lots of different pains and frustrations out there that people are experiencing that your product or service can solve for them. Fears and implications. These are similar but different. What kind of things are they leery to a business like yours, so that you can kind of define those up front and know what they are, and then attack them straight on. So are they worried about being ripped off, overcharged, having somebody in their home and dragging mud through the house, or have to wait for an appointment? These are things that they're definitely things that make them not want to pick up the phone, and things that you can kind of take on ahead of time. What are their goals and desires? Well, obviously, having the issue behind them is fantastic. I just want to take care of my family. I want to be richer. I want to grow my business. I want my kids to succeed. I want to travel. So these are goals and desires that you can define. And once again, kind of look at these things from their standpoint. If you can see Joe Smith through Joe Smith eyes, then you'll know how to sell what Joe Smith buys, right? If you have this information and you've defined who this person is, it's gonna be a lot easier to talk to them, right? All right, so let's talk about the message. Part number 2. The message, obviously very important, and I kind of started on this already. So what is your message right now? If you look at that avatar, if you look at that persona, that one that we defined, why should they choose your business over a competitor? So I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to write that down. I'd love it if you'd share in the chat. What is one thing, one reason why they should choose you over a competitor? So I'm going to give you a minute. I'll watch the chat. Interested in hearing some answers. Would love to know what is the thing, right? What is the thing that that differentiates you? Or maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know what that is. So in your workbook, write that down. Let's see here. I have way too many screens open at the same time. All right, let's see. Better prices, okay. Extra, extra service. Okay, so I'm assuming you mean like go above and beyond, over deliver, that kind of stuff. Those are fantastic as well. Yes. Okay, good, good. All right, good. Appreciate you sharing. If you got any others, before I'll watch it as I move on here. So the next question: what benefits do you offer that your customer resonates with? Is it the fact that you show up on time? Is it the fact that you put the booties on you take your shoes off and put the booties on so you don't drag anything through their house? Is it that you offer a warranty? What kind of benefits do you offer that your avatar really is thinking about? If we go back to their fears, if we go back to what they're trying to accomplish, what are they worried about that you can just put out there that this is something that by doing business with us, you're going to benefit from. Next question, what pain points can you poke at? So are they worried about the kids' health, right? So you can poke at these things, or if your kids are not healthy, they're going to get sick more often at school because of them being around other kids, or they're not going to be able to be in sports, or whatever the thing is. What kind of pain points is something that you can just agitate a little bit, and that that's what they're dealing with, so that you can point them out, poke at them a little bit, as I like to say, and start to get them really kind of thinking about your solution to that problem. So let's talk about some different messaging that works, and this might help you fill some of these in. Same-day service, emergency services. We have a client that does tree trimming. And I mean, if a tree falls on your house, you need them quick, right? So having that emergency service, no matter what, when it's raining, whatever, is a fantastic thing for them, and a great way for them to get more business. Upfront pricing, trustworthy staff. We give free estimates or free in-home consultations. We're always on time. We give a guarantee, money back guarantee, even better. Now, one other thing I want to mention here is reviews. So as you're thinking about the things that you offer, it's also important that you are thinking about the reviews that you have online, or the reviews you don't have online, and getting more reviews. My wife is notorious to go through reviews before doing business with a specific company. A lot of times it's restaurants or hotels. Those are the two obvious ones. But there are a lot of consumers out there that are looking at your business, comparing it to others, and Google makes it very easy to compare businesses, especially on mobile now. Having those comparisons is hugely important, and having those pieces in place, having those reviews on those other platforms can highly benefit your business. So I do want to say there is one difference between reviews and testimonials. Reviews are typically reviews that are posted on other websites. So Google, Facebook, Yelp, House, all these other places where you can get reviews about your business. And then there's testimonials, which are reviews, but typically they're submitted to you and you post them on your website. They are not going to be trusted as much as reviews that are posted on other platforms that you can't control, right? You control your website. So of course you're only going to post stuff that's great about your business. But having these reviews on other platforms speaks volumes for you. It also builds what's called social proof. And social proof is kind of a phenomenon where people assume the actions of others in an attempt to reflect correct behavior in a given situation. Well, what's that mean? That means if somebody pulls up a business and sees 10 reviews for your business, they're more likely to do business with you. They're more likely to assume your business is trustworthy, and they're more likely to leave a review of their own. If they come and they see 0 reviews, they're very much less likely to take action because other people haven't done so as well. So an example of that, of course, I'm going to do a humble brag here, right? Red Canoe Media, 36 5-star reviews versus Rock Creek Web Guys, no reviews, versus the SEO Expert, 2 reviews. So I think it kind of shows who's the obvious choice here, right? Who is the one that has the most reviews, shows up first on my mobile device. These kind of things speak volumes for your business. So having reviews is huge. I just want to make sure that it's not something that you're overlooking in the coming year. If you go to reviews.redcanoemedia.com, you can actually run a free report there to see, okay, where's my business at when it comes to reviews? What platforms are we on? What platforms are we not on? You can get kind of a review score there. It's all free. So I encourage you to go check that out as well. So, all right, make the case for your business. So what are the things that set you apart? What are the things that make you different? Poke at their pain points. Make sure that you're seeing it through your avatar's eyes, and that you're able to, really kind of maybe talk about one of their objections. We're always on time, or we have a trustworthy staff. Make your case for those and write that down. What is the thing, or kind of like a tagline or byline, I guess you could say, that is a message about your business. And this message could be put on, obviously, in your flyers, maybe on your business cards, on your website, on everything that you do. You start to put all these pieces in place, and it makes it so much easier to get a clear message and get the same message out all the time. All right, press on. Let's talk about the media, or the how, or how are you going to get this message to the people that you already know you need to target? How are you going to do that? Well, the obvious answer is through your website. And this is not the only answer, but your website is the hub of everything that you do online. You might put some things on Facebook, you might post on LinkedIn, you might do YouTube videos, but all of that really is to focus on generating more people to come to your website to purchase, right? Or fill out a form, fill out a lead form of some sort. So one of the best things that you can do, obviously, is build your website so that it converts more visitors. Get them to that next step, and we call that a call to action, right? So I always love this example. This is Sunshine Drapery. They have some fantastic calls to action right here on their homepage. Schedule a complimentary in-home appointment. Nice and right out there, a different color, easy to see. I know what my next step is. And even if I go to a different page and cruise through their site a little bit, there's always going to be this very consistent thing, because in their case, their next step is to schedule an appointment. That is what they consider a lead. And one way that they do that is with a lead magnet, or something that attracts more visitors, more customers. Now, a lead magnet for you could be some sort of an infographic like this. It could be, well, I went over to the top of Sunshine's, but they have a gift, or I'm sorry, not a gift guide, a design guide. So download our design guide, and then in the design guide, we talk about all their different products, what they are the best fit for, whether it's arched windows or a bay window, or I just have 10 windows, or I have a huge wall of windows. So we kind of go through all those different things and address them and say, well, the perfect fit for this is probably shutters or whatever it happens to be, right? Another lead magnet is this customer, this company called Buy Costumes. They just pop up on your screen, and I'm sure you've seen these, $25 off your first order, right? Just plug your email address in. Well, they're doing two things here. They're offering a lead magnet, but at the same time, they're collecting email addresses of people who are raising their hand and say, I'm interested in what you guys do, or what you guys have, what you offer. So that is a fantastic way to do it. So think about what kind of a lead magnet you could put together. Is it a checklist? Is it some sort of a guide? Or is it just a coupon? It could be a lot of different things. All right. Secondly, are there tracking mechanisms in place? So when somebody does raise their hand, do you have the things in place to track that and to see whether it's working or not, because just putting together some sort of a lead magnet and not, just assuming it works could be horrible for you. So having Google Analytics in place can really help you see those kind of things. And to the point of Google Analytics, we're doing webinars on Google Analytics from time to time as well, so that you can get in there and understand what it is that you're seeing. A lot of people just log in, see the pretty graphs like these and say, yep, something's happening. I don't know what, but something's happening, right? KPI, Peggy's asking, what is KPI tracking? So KPIs are key performance indicators. So a KPI could be, we want to have 100 visitors to our website this month, or 1,000. And so that is a KPI that you could set, and then tracking that month to month and say, okay, we hit our goal, we didn't hit our goal, we hit our goal. And kind of having those numbers built in place can help you understand the health of your business, health of your website, and trends, things that are going on with your site. Other KPIs could be the number of leads. Typically KPIs are numbers, I guess. How many people did this particular action? How many people visited our site? How many people came to our booth at the conference where we had a booth? That could be a KPI as well, right? We want to make sure that we talk to at least 50 people a day during the 3 days we're at this particular conference. Or, so having those numbers in place motivates you and helps you see, do we hit our goals? Are we tracking towards the right goals that we're hoping to hit? All right, hopefully that helps. Goals. One of the cool things about Google Analytics that a lot of people don't know is you can actually set up goals in the back end of analytics. And one of the cool things that we like to do, and we do this for all of our clients, is we set up a goal that's equal to, in this case, our thank you page. And the thank you page is a page on the site that a visitor can only see after they fill out our contact form. So once they fill out the form, we dump them to a thank you page. Thank you for filling out the form. Somebody's going to get back to you soon, something like that. And then we tell Google to track every time somebody hits this page. This page is not accessible publicly. It's not indexed in Google. So the only way they can hit it is to go through that form. So if we track how many people hit that thank you page, then we can track how many people are filling out our form on our website. And this is a great way to have a KPI. We want at least 10 people a month to fill out our form. So 10 is your key performance indicator for this particular thing. Love goals. Another thing that I like is call tracking. We're using a service called CallRail. And what CallRail does is it lets you put a specific number on your website that doesn't exist anywhere else on the web. And then you can actually track those numbers. So every time somebody picks up the phone, you know that they were on your website and they liked what they saw. They picked up the phone and they called you. It just dumps to your regular line, but then it's trackable, right? And you can even, CallRail even has a way to hook that up with your Google Analytics. So you can set a goal for phone calls, right? We want to generate at least 20 phone calls per month through the website. So using something like CallRail, very cheap to set up and get that specific phone number for your website. Another thing that we like is Hotjar. Hotjar is really cool. It lets you do some different tracking and some really kind of cool sciencey stuff around where are people clicking, where are people scrolling, how far are they scrolling, what things are they clicking on. Are they clicking on the fourth menu item and not the first one? Well, then maybe that fourth menu item needs to be moved up towards the top so they can click it faster. More people will see it. It's not lost in the mix. There's a lot of really cool things you can learn from a service like Hotjar around where people are clicking on different pages on your site. a great way to really kind of optimize your site. So here's one thing. When I start talking about all these tools, I'm very aware that, first of all, that I love all this stuff and all these different tools. But for the average business owner, it can get a little crazy really quick. I mean, look at this guy. He's looking at all, what in the world? What does all this mean? How am I going to do this? You know, how am I going to do it? One tool that we like is called Syfe, C-Y-F-E, Syfe.com. And what Syfe lets you do is pull in different things from different sources and see them all in one place, which is nice. So here we've got Google Analytics for the last 30 days. How is that going? How is our Facebook page working? We've got Alexa here. What is our Alexa ranking? Is a certain kind of ranking. How many people are hitting our WordPress site, or posting or commenting or so you can pull in a lot of different things in one dashboard, which is really nice. That's Syfe, CYFE.com. It's around $30 a month. I think for one website, you can actually do it for free. And you can build up to 6 or 7 different modules on your dashboard, which is great for most business owners. That's all you need. But Syfe is great. So here's the real problem. 50 to 60% of inbound people to your website leave without doing anything. And that number could be higher for certain pages, kind of similar to your bounce rate. You know, some pages are going to have a 90%. Some pages are going to be closer to 20 or 30, but on average, well over half of the people that come to your website cruise on their way and don't do anything, don't take action. 90% of your forms fail to convert. So people are coming to your site not filling out the form. If there was a way to fix that, that would be fantastic. And here's some reasons why that happens. The leads that do come in are not followed up with quickly, and they can go cold. If they're online and they're looking at your website, they might be looking at 3 competitors' websites as well, and they might get a call from one of them first, and that lead kind of goes cold on you. At the same time, the average customer needs to be followed up with 5 to 7 times before taking action. And that number could be even higher. It could be 15. I'm experiencing that in my business, that there is a lot longer, not only a sales cycle, but just the amount of times that you have to follow up with them is increasing because there's so many more choices out there, I think. And because we're so busy that we forget, or it wasn't a priority, and maybe it becomes a priority 2 weeks later, something like that. Today's consumer prefers to interact via text message or via Facebook Messenger, and knowing how your clients like to interact is very important. So it's not just the fact that you're following up, but you're following up on the right platform. That's a huge part of it as well. My wife, for instance, hates to be on the phone and talk to people. But if you pop her up on Messenger or text or something, you can get a lot more information. So different people like different scenarios. But it's very important to understand that. Ways to fix that is through marketing automation, following up with them immediately, having a form in place that emails them, that texts them if you got their phone number, or even leaves a voicemail on their phone. Some of you might actually got a voicemail from me about this webinar, and that was a kind of a follow-up service that I did, and automate the follow-up so that they're all touched multiple times and maybe in multiple ways. There is a way to do that with CallRail with the 2-way text messaging, so you can actually set up the texting as well, so that you text that person after they signed up. Hey, thanks for reaching out to us. We'll be back with you soon. Or what are you struggling with? Or something like that starts that conversation. And then when they text you back, it pops up on your phone and off you go. These kind of things are all possible out there, and they're not terribly expensive either. So at the end of the day, really, it's just simple math. If you get 100 leads in and you're converting 30% of them, you're converting 3 people, you know, or sorry, 30 people out of 100. That means if you have an average ticket value of $650, that means you're making 19 grand over the course of that 100 leads. I mean, not bad, but at the same time, if you can bump that conversion rate up by optimizing your site, optimizing your follow-up process, maybe that number could be 70%. And look at the difference. You know, just by following up with these people on the platforms that they like, more than doubles your revenue. And most of this can be automated, which is even better, right? Easy choice. So this makes every lead that comes in a lot more valuable just by having some of these follow-up things in place. So what are 3 different elements that you could implement on your website? I think this is pretty easy. By far, the call tracking. You need to get that on your site so you understand what people are picking up the phone and calling you from your website. Adding the phone field to your contact form. So if it's not there, you're not collecting that phone number, you're not able to leave them a voicemail, you're not able to send them a text message. You know, so these are great things, having some sort of call to action to get them to that next step, whether that's a bright orange button like we saw in Sunshine, or it's a chat box where people can start to interact with your brand immediately. Lots of different conversion elements that you can put out there, but give them that next obvious step. And in your workbook, fill this in. What are a couple things that we can do in the coming months to get this going and getting more people to convert? So let's go over what we talked about so far. We've kind of put together a clear goal, revenue/lead target for the coming year. And if you didn't go through that process, I encourage you to go back and think, okay, here's our revenue for the year. Here's where we want to be next year. And maybe that's 10% growth or 5% or 50%, whatever it is. Have that goal in place and then break it down into quarters. What are our quarterly goals to hit that number? And it might be that you don't just break it into 4, that you break it into pieces that are manageable and that will, over time, kind of like a flywheel, it'll just keep going and getting better and better and less energy to get to the next level. We also got clarity around market, message, and media, the who, what, and how we're going to say things to these people. Having those are in place. We talked about having your website optimized for conversion. We just got done talking about that. And we talked about tracking. So it's important that not only are you doing these things and implementing these pieces one at a time, but that you're tracking and keeping an eye on the results so that you know, hey, that thing that we did at the end of the year last year is really starting to work, and it's really starting to kick in and do some stuff for our business. So what are some key takeaways that you've got so far? I'd love to hear, what are some things that you've learned? What are some things that you noticed about anything that I've shared? And is there anything maybe that you'd like to share? Put those into the chat. If you're on here, put those into the chat, and I'd love to hear from you. What kind of thing is really standing out to you about this in the coming year? So let's see here. John likes Hotjar. That's good. Hotjar is great. It really is fantastic. It's a great little tool, and can give you some really cool insight into what's going on in your business, you know, and especially on your website, and what people are clicking on or not clicking on. What pages are they kind of ignoring, which is always good to know. So, all right, let's move on. Peggy has a question. What kind of web form would a customer fill out? So typically this is a form on your site, on your Contact Us page, is the most common variety of a web form. Just a form on your page that's Contact Us. So name, website, phone number, email address, those sort of things. That's an easy one. Facebook has their own form. Ads, you can actually run ads on Facebook that pops up a form that they can fill out. So those are kind of the really common one. Typically it's a form on your website. If your website's on WordPress, which Peggy, I know yours is, then you're probably using something like Contact Form 7 or Gravity Forms. And those systems allow you to set what is the thank you page or what is the action when somebody hits submit. It also lets you track who those people are, dump those people into your email system. There are some automations that can happen with that as well. So, all right. So everything we talked about today is really just part of what we call our digital dominance method. And there's a lot of pieces, and we talked about this already. There's a lot of stuff to do, right? All of these different things that you need to do. So I don't expect you to do them all or to do them all right away. We've all heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? How do you get up to the stairs when you're looking at a goal? It's way up there. How do you get there? Well, one step at a time, you make your way there. So even though this is overwhelming, I encourage you just to start looking at, with our plan for this coming year, these are all the things that we probably need to do. Let's just pick one, start with it, implement it, and then start another one in 30 days or whatever it happens to be. So if I were in that situation, for most business owners, the best thing you can do is to optimize your Google business listing. You do that at google.com/business. Go in there, optimize it, put in your hours, put in your services, add your categories. Now you can actually post blogs on Google My Business. So get in there and really, excuse me, get in there and really optimize that platform is a huge first step for most business owners. And it's also where you get reviews. So this is kind of your hub for some external things. And when it comes to mobile devices, which is growing tremendously this year, having the ability to be in front of people on mobile devices is huge. So optimizing your Google business profile, by far the first thing that you should do. Let me grab a drink. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings in the SEO community around the value of a Google My Business listing. And again, as I mentioned, specifically on mobile devices. Some websites are seeing 60 to 70% mobile traffic now. And the way Google has optimized their listings, that 3-pack that comes up, like I showed you with ours, the listing of those 3 businesses, those are getting a majority of the clicks or the phone calls. I mean, they make it real easy just to, okay, yeah, I like these plumbers. They've got 50 reviews, click, and you call them right there. They never even scroll further down in the results. So having this optimized, as I said, huge. And I'm going to do a webinar on this, specifically on optimizing your Google My Business profile. All right. Start getting those reviews. I talked about this. Here's how you can get your score. And it looks at a lot of places. There are a lot of places to get reviews. There are a lot of industry specific places to get reviews. So if you're an attorney, then there's Avo, which is a great place to get reviews specifically for attorneys. If you're a real estate agent, then you want to get them on Zillow and some of those kind of sites. But there are specific review platforms for specific industries, along with Google My Business, Facebook, Yelp, some of the big ones, Yahoo Local. There are some local ones that you really need to be getting reviews on for sure, along with maybe some specific ones, Yellow Pages, things like that. Very important, but they all kind of rotate around Google My Business. And Google My Business even pulls in those reviews from those other platforms to kind of make that final number. So it's not that they're just showing Google reviews, they're showing reviews that maybe they found elsewhere as well. All right, what about social media? Social media is important, and I'm not digging into it today for sure, but I think there are some other things you need to work on first, and that is really kind of optimizing your site for conversion and really getting, when those people get to your site or when they get to your Google My Business listing, that they take action, that they pick up the phone and call. Social media, important, but secondary, I guess is a good way to say it. And what about paid ads? So paid ads is a great way to get traffic to your site. We're going to do a webinar on this as well, because paid ads is growing tremendously as well. And they're pushing organic results further down the page. The more ads there are, and the more people that get on and spend money on ads to get those leads, you got to spend money to do it. But if somebody clicks on an ad and comes to your site and they don't have a clear action or a clear next step, here we are back at that same thing again. Having that in place first is imperative to even running a good pay-per-click program. So, all right, 2020 success checklist. I want you to check this out. It's at redcanoemedia.com/success-checklist, and that will dump you straight to the Google Doc. And the really cool thing about this is I'm going to update this a little bit more over the coming months. So you need to bookmark this and really, kind of watch it, because the really cool thing about Google Docs is when it's updated, everybody sees it right away. So I just linked this link goes straight to the Google Doc page where you can see exactly what the latest things are. But these are the steps really to help you set those goals for 2020, to succeed in 2020, and have a great ramp for the coming year. So, all right, what's your top 3 things that you're going to do to really kick butt in 2020? And is there somebody on your team or externally that you need to talk to get those initiatives implemented? Very important as well. Now, if you need some help and you want some free one-on-one help, I'd be happy to jump on a quick call with you and kind of talk about, okay, here's the things that I'm wanting to do, point me in the right direction, Will. I'm happy to do that. Obviously, we're happy to help you actually implement these things as well. But if you're interested in just, chatting about it, redcanoemedia.com/strategy, schedule a call and we'll go a little bit further in depth on what it is you're trying to do, how we can help, or at least point you in the right direction. So, quick recap. Why won't it let me go to my next slide here? Quick recap. The one thing is we have our clear goals in place, right? There it is. We have clarity around market, message, and media. Plan on optimizing your site for conversions in this coming year. So not just getting people to the site, but when they're there, get them to do something. Set up tracking, have some sort of a dashboard where you can get in there and look at these things and make sure that things are moving in the right direction. And then of course, go do it, right? I would love for you to implement this, go through that workbook and really implement this over the coming year and grow your business. It would be fantastic to do so. If you want us to be involved or just want to chat, redcanoemedia.com/strategy will get you there. Peggy is asking, can I see the digital dominance method circle chart again? Yeah, so I'll put it on here, and you know what? I will email it to you as well, because the way PowerPoint does it, they kind of dump it down a little bit on the resolution, so it's hard to see. But yeah, I'd be happy to send this to you. I'm also going to do a webinar specifically on the digital dominance method we'll go through all of this and really kind of put it in place so that you know what to do, where to start, what pieces you need, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I will email that to you as well at the end. So, all right, any other questions, anything that I can help anyone with before we finish up the webinar? Let's see, Amber, anything on the Facebook side? Let's see if Amber's got anything here. I want to make sure I got everybody's questions answered. And I appreciate everybody jumping on today. Hopefully you were able to get some direction, work on that workbook. And all right, I don't see anything from Amber. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And I appreciate you being on. See ya. Bye.